Hi, everyone. My name is Misty Gardner, and this is my presentation on my moral compass. The first resource that I watched was a video, and he talked about how important it is to have our moral compass that is focused on integrity. He said you have to develop your true north and then stick to it. There also, when you're doing that, you have to draw that line between what is right and wrong, and you have to be careful not to cross it. He even suggests that even getting close to the line can make it hard. When you get close to that line, you start to think about, well, if I just do a little bit more, or if I don't, and then eventually you end up crossing that line. And once you cross that line, then it's easier to cross it again and again. Our culture is also pressuring for there to not be a right or a wrong, but just whatever you think, and you just don't worry about it. And whatever happens, happens, and you have consequences. I feel like our society is getting more and more like that. So it's harder to teach our kids that there is a true right and wrong. We cannot give into the pressure, and we need to commit to doing what is right. They, you know, we can't give into the pressure of society, because if we do that, then we're truly not having a right and wrong, and they just don't go together. The second resource that I read was an article by Mintz. Mintz believes we need to have our hearts in the right place to begin working on our moral compass. We also need to think of others before thinking of ourselves. We need to respect each other. No one likes to be disrespected. So as building leaders, we're really going to have to work on the respect piece. We want our staff and our students to respect us, and we also in return have to respect them. One approach that Mintz talked about was the rights theory, which obligates us to respect the rights of others and to live up to our obligations towards them. We have to look at our actions and make sure we are being honest, empathetic, respectful, and responsible, along with having the integrity that is so important with our morals. The third piece that I looked at was by Steve Wood, and he feels our moral compass is set by our personal values and that they should guide our decision making. Some of the values that he gave as an example were integrity, family, fairness, personal responsibility, and kindness. He feels our core values are developed in our early years, and they can be influenced by our family, friends, churches, or other organizations that we might be involved with. And I agree with him. In our young years, everything that happens, we model or we learn from the people around us or the places that we are. Wood gave 3 reasons why he believes we don't follow our core values sometimes when we make a decision. When you're a leader, he believes the ethical choice would have difficult or challenging short-term side effects if we make that right choice. The second one was the leader believes that ethical choice is in conflict with what the organization or his or her supervisor wants. Sometimes it's hard to make that right choice when you know that the people you're working with or the place that you're working at, that's not the decision that they would make. And then the third one, they choose to violate their values because of the benefits the opposite decision brings them. Sometimes the right choice isn't always the popular choice. The fourth article that I looked at, or the video that I looked at, was by Frank Barco, and was said our values are how we are raised, and we have moral obligations for setting the tone for what we do. He said there are 4 things to keep in mind. Always put people first in your decision making, respect individual dignity, treat everyone fairly, and always be honest. He talked about having a line in the sand, that you have to decide what you think is acceptable and what is not. And you also need to think about what is negotiable and what is not for you. He said you have to take time to reflect before making a decision, and always be clear with what your values are and don't turn from them. This is sometimes easier said than done. Summary 5 was an article by Zitzman. He talked about the moral compass being a set of core values that help guide you in your decision making through your life. He gave 5 reasons you need a moral compass. You need a moral compass to ground your identity, to protect the greater good, increase self-confidence, and be a good role model. And the last one is foster healthy relationships. He also talked about finding your moral compass through the people in your life, books you may read, or from your family. He believes your moral compass will guide you in what you need to do in any situation, and your moral compass helps to define your character. And in Article 6, I read was by Orchard, and he focused on the aspect of what society thinks about our morals. He feels society goes in the opposite direction of acceptable moral standards. When you look at celebrities and sports stars, they seem to always operate outside the common law of society, and many times their definition of right and wrong do not go along with what other people think. Sometimes I feel like our celebrities and sports stars kind of just do their own thing, and whatever they do is acceptable, and it's not always the right choice or how we want our kids to be influenced. And we know that those people are role models for our kids. This is my moral compass. Up here in the corner, I have right or wrong. We have to decide when we're making a decision, do we want to make the right decision? Do we want to make the wrong decision? And I want to always make the right decision. So in doing that, if you look at my compass, my top thing is faith. I am a Christian, and I pray about every decision that I make, and I am thankful that I have that option. The next thing that I think is important is integrity. We have to have that integrity, that trust, the honesty that goes with integrity. The next one that I have is compassion. I feel you have to have compassion and think about being caring and kind when you are making a decision. And then you have a responsibility to make those good decisions. And in between those four things, I also put in there trust, honesty, care, and justice. When we're making that decision and we use our moral compass to help us make those decisions, I feel like all these things tie together and need to be thought about when you're making that decision. Here's a list of the resources and the articles that I read. And then how this assignment correlates with the standard that we're talking about. I felt like it correlated to the two standards by increasing our knowledge on our moral compass. This assignment made us evaluate ourselves and what we feel is important for us to have in our moral compass to be successful building leaders. The relevancy of this assignment to our current learning, because it gave an opportunity to read articles that had us evaluate and look at our own moral compass. It also gave us an opportunity to hear what others feel are important to have in their moral compass. And building a good moral compass will help us in making decisions when we are building leaders and just in life in general. And my personal reflection, as a building leader, I want to have a strong moral compass to guide me in the decisions I will have to make. But I not only want the strong moral compass for school, but as a person in my everyday life. I want my life to show my morals in everything that I do. I want to be a person that has strong faith and always does the right thing, even if no one is watching. I want to be an example, not only for my staff and students, but for my own children. In creating the visual compass about myself, it helped put in to perspective what is important to me and what I need to make sure I'm working hard to be a good role model for those around me. Thank you.